What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video for the 2019-20 season now. We finally have some content to talk about. The official FPL account on Twitter dropped some price reveals today. Obviously, they're doing what they do every season, which is teasing a few prices every day. We'll probably get some more tomorrow, but they've done 5 today. So it gives us something to talk about, whether those players are underpriced, overpriced, or whether they've absolutely nailed it. So I'll give you more reaction to those. And then obviously once we get more info, once the game launches, you can expect more videos as well. So before we get started, 3 things I'd love if you could do. Like the video, subscribe if you're new around here, and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of the prices that have been revealed. Otherwise, let's just jump straight into it. So first up, one of the most talked about players for sure in pre-season, which is Andrew Robertson, who's coming at 7 million now. That's what I ended up predicting him on my video. I did think there was definitely a chance he could get to 7.5. We've seen the likes of Vidic and Baines in the past get to that kind of price after really good seasons. Obviously, he smashed the record last year with over 200 points, the first defender to get to that. And obviously, Van Dijk wasn't too far behind. You'd think that this is now going to be the most expensive price for a defender. No one else is going to be more than that, not after smashing it last year. I don't, even the likes of Alonso was 6.5 last year. He's obviously not going to be more than Robertson was. So the interesting question now is, do you think that's a good price? I think yes, absolutely. I think he's going to be in a lot of teams. Interestingly, I've already seen some comments on social media, a lot on Facebook rather than Twitter, saying, well, goodbye Robertson, it was good while it's lasted. So it does show that in some circles out there, they consider this to be too expensive, even though he got over 200 points as a defender, which is obviously incredible. Key question is, do you think he can carry on and do it again next year? I think everyone's going to have at least one Liverpool defender. The fixtures are too good. Their form has just been too good last season. You expect them to keep clean sheets. Other key question is, what will the other Liverpool defenders come in at? So you've got Van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously, you'll have another centre-back as well, but those are kind of the 3 that we're looking at. My thinking is that they all come in at the same price, 7 million. Van Dijk wasn't too far behind. He's absolutely nailed. He will start every game. Obviously, if Robertson, maybe they buy a backup left back. Now Moreno's gone and maybe he gets a few less starts. You'd expect him to start most games, but Van Dijk absolutely nailed at centre-back. And obviously not too many points behind Robertson. And then Trent Alexander-Arnold, yes, he didn't score as many points, but he had a better points per match total on FPL. Only slightly higher than Robertson, but it was higher. So there's a few people who think that he might come in at 6.5. I just think the problem if they do that now is 7 million looks like a really good price for a Liverpool defender. If you put one of them down to 6.5, then I think he suddenly becomes the automatic choice. Yes, you probably got a little bit more injury threat, maybe some rotation, but he seems to be nailed down as the first choice right back for the most part. So as long as Gomez doesn't take too much game time away from him, I think at 6.5 most people will go there. So I'm expecting the rest to come in at 7, but Robertson a really good price, and I'll be surprised if he's under kind of 30 or 40% ownership when it comes to game week 1. So next up is Lucas Fabianski. It's goalkeeper time, and he's coming at 5 million now. Again, I think a lot of the time when prices are revealed, everyone thinks that everyone's too expensive because obviously they can't get the team that they made in game week 38 and game week 1. So it feels difficult to make a team. And a lot of people are saying that Fabianski's coming a little bit too expensive. But I thought last year when he came in at 4.5, that not that it was too cheap, but I was surprised they didn't price him at 5 at that point. So to come in at 5 this year, I think is fair enough. West Ham maybe didn't get as many clean sheet points as we would have hoped last year. Obviously, Diop was in the team for most of the season, but Balbuena got injured. So I'd assume those two would probably be the centre-back partnership going into next year, as long as they're both at the club. Obviously, there is some talk about Diop going to Man United, but him and 95 other people. So I don't know how much we read into that. But for me, Fabianski at 5 million is a good pick. Now, if you're going to rotate, maybe not, because you're going to get him and probably a 4.5. I don't think there'll be many 4 million starting goalkeepers unless we get really lucky. And I also think that someone like Pickford is going to come in at 5.5. So if you look at the points for last year, Pickford got 161. And Fabianski came in about 18 points less at 143, so not too far behind. So I think if Pickford's 5.5, Fabianski's 5, I think that's fair enough. And the opening fixtures after Man City at home, which is obviously pretty awful, they got Brighton away, Watford away, Norwich at home and Villa away. So a good few away games, but some really decent teams in there, Brighton, Norwich and Villa. So for me, I kind of went set and forget for most of last season. I didn't really rotate. So yes, I'd rather pay 4.5 and have a 4 million goalkeeper and only pay 8.5 altogether. Obviously, 4.5 and 4.5 rotation is what a lot of people do. So they're spending 9 million on goalkeepers. So you could do Fabianski, set and forget at 5 and have a 4 million goalkeeper, and you're still spending that 9. So I actually think it's an okay price. Like I said, I was a bit surprised he was 4.5 last year. And I just think with their fixtures, you'd hope that maybe they could shore it up at the back a bit more. Obviously, they got Declan Rice just in front. And go on out and have a better run of clean sheets. And we know how good Fabianski is as a shot stopper, so he gets save points as well. So maybe not a price where you look at it and think, yes, he's straight into my team. But I think once we get the full set of prices and have a look at fixtures and stuff, I think he could definitely be set and forget for 5. So Ryan Fraser next up at 7.5, and again a few people saying probably a little bit too expensive, but if you look at the points he got last year, I think it's a fair enough price. So to give you an example, he got 181 points last year, Sigurdsson got 182, and I've seen people say that Sigurdsson should be 8.5 million this year. So if you're getting Ryan Fraser, you've got nearly the same amount of points. And obviously, you've got to hope that he'll get the same again or beat Sigurdsson. But he's coming in at maybe 0.5 million less. He beat Pogba last season. He beat Milivojevic, who's a penalty-taking king. And Eriksen and the likes of Son. Obviously, Son didn't get as many minutes, and you'd expect him to beat him over a season. But 181 points for 7.5 million is not to be sniffed at. Obviously, whether he can get 181 points again, we'll have to wait and see. But I think Bournemouth are a pretty settled side. And again, there's obviously transfer rumours around him. You'd expect Wilson to maybe start featuring in transfer rumours as well. But Bournemouth are a decent side when it comes to attacking. And if they can keep all their players that they had last season, I don't see why they wouldn't go on to score a similar amount of points. So again, 7.5, you look at it and think, well, I had him a lot cheaper last year. He did really well. I don't want to pay more for him. If you can get 181 points again, 7.5 million is going to look like a bargain at the end of the season. So while yes, you've got to look for value in your picks, and obviously once we get more player prices, that'll be a lot easier. You're obviously going to have to pay more for someone that did really well last year. So I think 7.5 is a good price. He starts with Sheffield United at home and Villa away. So 2 promoted sides to start the season. It does get a bit tricky after that. Man City, Leicester and Everton. But again, I think Bournemouth are a decent attacking side. And I can for sure see a similar amount of points. So 7.5, I don't know if I'd put him in my team straight away. I'd maybe wait and see if him and Wilson have got that connection again this season. You'd expect yes. And maybe as a kind of two game week punt at the start, and then swap him out for the harder fixtures if he's not really doing the business. That could work as well. So 7.5 again. I know I'm being a bit optimistic or a bit positive about this. I know a lot of people are kind of being negative, but again, I think 7.5 is a good price. I know what you're thinking, Andy, you've been so positive, even you can't be positive about Matt Ritchie for Newcastle at 5.5 million. And to be honest, you would be correct. For the most part, I do think there's some glimmer of hope, and I'll come on to that in a sec. But he's coming at 5.5, been reclassified from a midfielder to defender. Obviously played a lot of games in the second half of the season, especially at left back, so they've reclassified him. It looks fair enough to me. He got 2 goals and 8 assists last year in total, which is pretty decent. For a defender, or what he would be classified as a defender, and a few of those assists did come while he was playing left back as well, so I think that's good. I think the problem is Newcastle obviously lost Benitez now, who was really, really good, a great manager, kind of had them organised, and kind of you'd expect if he was still there, we'd really be looking at him a bit more, because you'd expect clean sheets. You know, there's talk of Mourinho coming in, Jose himself. I just don't see that coming in unless there's a takeover, and then maybe something big will happen. But right now it just looks like they've got Arsenal, Spurs and Liverpool in the opening 5. 5.5 million for a defender, I don't think it's going to get many clean sheets. Definitely not one for my game week 1 team, I don't think. We've got to remember, set pieces, penalties for him. Could get back to the glory days of when Leighton Baines was on penalties, and obviously featured heavily in teams because he was attacking in games as well. So when Newcastle are on a run of good fixtures, maybe then we'll look at him. Maybe if they get a manager that comes in and gets clean sheets, then I can look at it. But 5.5 million when Robertson's coming in at 1.5 million more, you'd expect Man United defenders to probably be about 5.5, maybe 6. Given the price we've seen of Ricardo, which I'll come on to in a sec. So, yeah, definitely not one for me right away, but never say never. A penalty-taking defender is an FPL dream. And if they get really good fixtures, I'd definitely be looking at him. And obviously, if he moves to a different club or he starts playing in midfield, even better. So last but not least, the 5th player reveal was Ricardo Pereira for Leicester. Coming in at 6 million. Now, I would say out of all the players, maybe even more so than Matt Ritchie, people were kind of not happy with this price at 6 million. But interestingly enough, a lot of people pre-season were talking Leicester up, saying how much better they'd probably be this year. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers will be going into his first full season. Lots of young talent. They looked good last year. And you know, some people I've even seen saying they've got a chance to push into the top 6. So then one of their defenders comes in and 6 million is suddenly like, no, that's too expensive. So one thing that's going to be playing on people's minds is they had him and they were burnt by him. Obviously didn't get the points when he was expected to, and then did well when people took him out of their teams. Now, I try not to think about that when it comes to the next season. I know it's difficult. I didn't own him, so I don't have that problem. Opening fixtures are a bit of a mixed bag. Wolves, Sheffield United and Bournemouth in there in the opening 5, but also Chelsea and Man United. But if you look at just total points, without looking into his attacking threat and stuff like that, he got 146 points last year. Now, in comparison, Luca Dean was 158, and I actually think he's going to come in at 6 million as well. Some people saying 6.5. I think that's too expensive for an Everton defender. I don't think you can be that sure they're going to do that well, but it's kind of him versus Luca Dean. And I expect most people will go for the Everton man, but he got 146 points, so not far behind Luca Dean. Only 12 less than Azpilicueta. Even Laporte, obviously Man City clean sheet machines, was 177, so only 31 points ahead of Ricardo, and obviously he is going to come in at 6. You'd expect Laporte to be 6.5, maybe even 7. So yeah, I think it's an okay price. Again, I'd probably wait till they got a bit of better fixtures. But he's a Leicester team that I think will do well next year, and I think there's potential for them to keep more clean sheets. We'll have to see what happens with the midfield. Obviously, Tielemans was in there last year. We don't know if he'll still be in the side next year, so we'll have to see what they do about that. They got some good defensive mids, and I don't know. I just think that there's a potential for 6 million to be an okay price. Again, people are going to look at Liverpool defence. It's only $1 million more. But yeah, I think 6 million is an okay price. But for my game week 1 team with Wolves at home, Chelsea away opening, probably not, but we'll see. So that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. As always, give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments below what you think of the prices. Are any of these players straight into your team or absolute no-goes now? And also let me know what you think about this kind of content. I don't usually make videos this early in the season. I usually wait till the games launch, but obviously they are giving us some prices to talk about. So I think it's worth a look, and if you enjoy it and you hit the like button and all that stuff, I can make more once the other player prices are revealed, and hopefully we'll have the game out soon enough. It's the 26th of June when I'm recording this, so we're probably maybe a week or 2 away from launch, fingers crossed. And no, I don't know when it's going to launch, even though people keep asking me. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers all.